You have big dreams, you know exactly where you want to go, and your goal is to live the life you've always imagined, right? That dream lifestyle, where you are happy, fulfilled, and have achieved all of your goals. You've envisioned it, and you've mapped it out. But there's a problem, and you know exactly what it is. Laziness. It's that nagging feeling of being stuck, knowing that you have so much more potential, but for some reason you can't get moving. It's the idea that you could be more than you are, but something is holding you back. And what's even worse? This causes a cycle of guilt. You look back at the opportunities you missed and think, I should have done this. I know I'm capable of so much more. And that feeling of guilt only intensifies with time. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before you know it, you've gotten so used to being in this stagnant state that you begin to accept it as the norm. The expectation of change begins to feel like a distant dream. Then, as the new year rolls around, you make the same promises to yourself. New goals, new objectives, new resolutions. You're full of hope and excitement, feeling that this year will be different. But soon, procrastination creeps in, quietly and subtly, like an uninvited guest who overstays their welcome. It starts with small delays. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. But before you know it, procrastination has turned into a habit. You begin to label yourself as lazy, and that only deepens the cycle. It becomes a vicious loop, a snowball effect, where the more you procrastinate, the more you feel distant from your dreams. And now, you're left asking, what do I do? How do I break this cycle? How do I get rid of this feeling of stagnation and finally achieve what I truly want? Well, most of the content you come across online might give you temporary fixes like delete your social media or cut out all distractions. While these strategies may work in the short term, they don't address the root of the problem. The truth is, the real issue with procrastination isn't distractions or social media. The real culprit is something much deeper. Inertia. Understanding inertia. The hidden force holding you back. Inertia is a concept from physics that describes the tendency of objects at rest to remain at rest, and objects in motion to continue in motion unless acted upon by an external force. It sounds complex, but this principle actually has everything to do with how we behave in our daily lives and how we struggle with procrastination. Just like a stationary object needs a force to start moving, our minds also need a push to begin acting on tasks. And that initial push often feels much bigger than it really is. When you look at a large task like writing a report or working on a big project, and start thinking about how overwhelming it will be, your mind automatically creates resistance. This is where procrastination starts. Your mind says no because of this mental inertia, making anything seem more difficult than it truly is. But here's the key. Procrastination is actually a result of our inability to overcome this mental inertia. This occurs when a task seems too daunting, too scary, or too difficult, and our minds enter protective mode, telling us it's better to leave this for tomorrow. And that's when the real challenge comes. How do you break through this mental barrier of inertia? How do you get started and overcome that initial resistance? The good news is that there are two powerful strategies to defeat procrastination and break through inertia. And the best part is that these strategies don't require willpower or immense discipline, but a more intelligent approach to working with your mind. Strategy 1. Make starting simpler. Did you know that the beginning is always the hardest part? The larger the task, the more mental resistance you'll face. Instead of diving headfirst into something massive, reduce the expectations. Start small. Keep it simple. For example, if you have a 5,000-word essay to write, it might feel like an insurmountable mountain. But if you reframe the task and tell yourself, today, I'm just going to write 50 words, the inertia shrinks. You'll find that the goal becomes much more achievable, and the mental resistance nearly disappears. And the best part? It doesn't require much discipline at all, just a small first step. The trick here is to break down the larger task into smaller, more manageable chunks and start with a part that's easy to accomplish. This approach will give you the confidence to keep going, and it will help you avoid the mental block that comes when you look at the entire task all at once. Let's explore this further. Imagine you're feeling overwhelmed with house cleaning. Instead of thinking, I need to clean the whole house today, start with a small area, like a single room or even just one section of a room. Once you begin, you'll find that the inertia is no longer as strong, and you're more likely to keep going, not because you forced yourself, but because starting small took the edge off. Strategy 2. The 2-minute rule. Sometimes, our minds resist action so strongly that we just don't want to do anything at all. That's completely normal. It happens to everyone. In those moments, the best strategy is to commit to working on the task for just 2 minutes. It may sound silly, but trust me, it works. For instance, if you're procrastinating about organizing your closet, put on some music, move around for 2 minutes, and then stop. The key here is that after 2 minutes, you'll likely be so involved in the task that you'll continue working on it far beyond the time you initially set. This happens because, once inertia is broken, momentum starts to build. At first, it may feel like pushing a boulder up a hill, but once it crests the top, everything else starts rolling on its own. The magic of the 2-minute rule is that it's about starting small. That tiny push gets you going, and momentum takes over. The resistance you felt at the beginning starts to fade, and the task becomes easier to handle. Plus, it feels less daunting when you've committed to such a short amount of time, and the mental pressure eases. The power of changing your perspective. Beyond these techniques, one of the most important aspects of overcoming procrastination is changing the way you view tasks. Instead of seeing them as huge, monstrous challenges, try looking at them as small, achievable steps. When you view tasks as smaller pieces, it becomes easier to take action. This helps reduce mental resistance and boosts your motivation. Remember, procrastination doesn't disappear overnight. It's a continuous process, and the most crucial part is simply taking that first step, no matter how tiny it is. Consistency is the secret to winning this battle. Building the habit of action. These two strategies, when applied correctly, can completely transform how you approach your work, study, or personal projects. Whether it's professional tasks, academic projects, or even personal goals like fitness or personal development, these strategies work. Want to go to the gym? Start with 2 minutes. Have a daunting work project? Take that first small step. The key is not to wait for the perfect moment or the magical burst of motivation. Motivation comes through action. Action comes through taking the first step. By making starting easier and breaking tasks into manageable pieces, you build the habit of action. The more consistent you are, the easier it becomes to keep moving forward, and before you know it, procrastination won't be a problem anymore. If you're truly determined to change and want to learn even more powerful strategies to improve your productivity and achieve your goals faster, don't wait. Keep following our content. We're here to help you leave procrastination behind and finally start reaching your potential. If you found this content helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell so you won't miss any updates, and share it with someone who's also looking to improve and achieve more. Together, we can break inertia and accomplish everything we deserve. See you in the next video.